Hey, you guys. Thanks for listening into this episode of Tips with T. On today, I have Mr. Matt with us. Hey, Mr. Matt, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I've been an entrepreneur for the last 21 years. And the main thing that we focus on right now is working with small business owners, helping them do their bookkeeping and accounting, figure out how much money they're making, how they can make more, and how they can keep more.
Awesome. Awesome. That's outstanding to hear. So I know me and you had spoken before, and you talk
Mhm.
about businesses and business owners. So what are some do's and don'ts that entrepreneurs should consider when trying to start a business?
Well, I think, from our perspective on the accounting and bookkeeping side, you really want to plan from the very beginning. You definitely want to keep track of, how much money you're going to put into the business, what you're spending it on, and how quick it's coming back. One of the number one way that new businesses go out of business is their cash flow doesn't match up with their expenses, right? So not enough money is coming in fast enough. And if all you're kind of looking at is your bank balance to figure out if that's working or not, you might be missing some important parts of the business where you're spending money and where you could potentially be bringing in more, or how much you're spending versus how much you're bringing in. So bookkeeping isn't an expense you want to take on right from day one, but it's real easy to set up your own Excel spreadsheet and just keep track of what am I spending and what am I getting in. And then when you get bigger and you're ready for formal bookkeeping, then you can jump into that. And at tax time, you'll have it all organized and not be scrambling around trying to find receipts and figure out what you spent where. And I would suggest for anybody that's serious about starting their own business, go down to your local bank and open a separate checking account. Even if you haven't set up your formal business name or you're not an LLC or an S Corp yet, even just so that have your own sole proprietor set up in a separate checking account. And then you put 500 bucks in or $1,000 in, whatever you're going to start with. And that's your money. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is people keep putting more and more money into their startup. They're not keeping track of it. They're not figuring out how much they've spent, how much they've maybe lost, and where they want to cut themselves off. They always feel like, oh, I'm just a week away from making it. I'm a week away from making it. And then $50,000 later, you realize it's been a year and a half. You're probably not going to make it. And you probably should have stopped a long time ago, or at least changed directions or figured something else out. So part of being an entrepreneur, the part that people get excited about, right, is I've got this great idea. I think I'm going to, be real big. I'm going to come up with a cool logo and a cool name and all this stuff. But you also want to make sure you take care of business, that you keep track of things and you stay organized. It's not all just great ideas and world-changing inventions. You got to take care of the back end of business too, to make sure that you don't run away with yourself with your idea gets too big before the money runs out and you don't get to execute.
That's a good tip. I tell some of my clients too as well to go ahead and start separating things by getting a
Mhm.
separate bank account, because if you don't, it can be very hard to tell or distinguish between what was a business expense and what was a personal expense. And
Right.
a lot of people, they don't do that. And I think that's very, very important when you are starting up.
Absolutely. And for tax reasons too, you know, sometimes when people aren't organized, they miss out on deductions they could have had. If you still have a day job, right, you're going to end up paying taxes, but you're starting a side hustle or business on the side. Those expenses that you're using to get that business started can help offset that income tax from your regular job, but only if you keep track of it and you record it properly. So rather than paying the government all the taxes you didn't have to pay them, and then having scrambling around trying to find money for your startup business, if you're a little more careful, you can help offset, pay less in taxes, and use that towards the business. So in a way, the government kind of is helping you start your business, but you got to make sure you take the time to do that.
Awesome. So what are some other tips that you would give to help improve your business if you are already in a business? Um, I know that tip that you just gave about the bank account and stuff and keeping track of things. People can use that to improve, but what are some other ways that we can use?
Well, one of the things I see a lot of new business owners, they're up and running, But the mistake they make is, let's say you're working for a guy that has a house painting business and you decide, I'm going to start my own house painting business. And you look at their quotes and you say, well, this guy quoted $5,000 to paint a whole house, but I know how much a bucket of paint costs and I don't have to pay myself anything. So I'm going to start a house painting business and I'm going to go out and I'm only going to quote $2,000 to do the job. And a lot of people get started that way and they use price as the way that they kind of win jobs and win customers and differentiate. But what you find out when you're out on your own is, well, yeah, but when you were an employee, you didn't have to worry about paying for the truck, putting gas in it, paying for insurance, doing the marketing, all that other stuff that goes with running a real business. So in the early days, you can start out charging low prices just to kind of get your foot in the door. But as soon as you're kind of up and running, you generally don't want price to be the thing you compete on, right? You don't want to be the guy that charges the least amount. And for all your hard work, you're taking only a fraction of what a bigger business would get for the same job. Because if you're going to grow, you are going to have costs. You're going to have to get your truck. You're going to have to get your insurance and the extra equipment, and you're going to have to hire a couple of guys to help you. So once you're up and running in business, think about what is it that makes somebody want to pick your business over their other choices, right? Because there's always lots of choices in business. If I want to get my house painted, there's 10 or 15 or 20 companies I could pick to paint my house. And I don't want to just pick the guy that offers me the very lowest price because I immediately think he probably isn't going to do a very good job. He's going to cut corners to try and make some of his money back.
Mhm.
So think about, as a new business owner, why would somebody want to pick my business? Am I offering? Am I offering the highest quality service? Am I offering a faster turnaround time? Am I just nicer on the phone? I answer the phone in one ring instead of letting it go to voicemail, or whatever it is. Figure out what's going to make your business different and special and why somebody would pick you. If you can't really think of why somebody would pick your business over the other choices they have, then you shouldn't be too surprised when not many people do business with you, right? You should have a reason to stand out. Everybody should have a reason for their business being the one that a customer would pick.
Yeah, that is very correct. I mean, that's very true. Um, so I know before you was mentioning like the side hustle things. Even though people working full time, they want to do side hustles. So what are some things that people should consider when trying to do a side hustle?
Well, I think there's two reasons people do side hustles. One is just to make some extra money. They maybe they have a skill on the side, they do graphic design or something, and they just pick up some extra jobs just to make some extra money, maybe to, put money towards a car or paying down student debt or whatever it is. And they don't really plan on making that a long-term thing. They're just doing it for some sort of immediate need. And if that's all you're doing, then, you really can be pretty casual about it. Just keep track of how much you make, because you may get a 1099 at the end of the year. You may owe some taxes on that money. If, unlike your regular job, no taxes are being taken out of what you're getting paid. But other than that, you don't have to get too formal about it. But on the other hand, if you're starting a side hustle because you want to grow that into your full-time business and be able to quit your day job, then I'd go back to the other advice about, treat it like a real business, set up a separate checking account, keep track of how much you're charging and how much it's costing you to deliver those services, and figure out how you can grow that business into something that will replace your day job. So if that's what your goal is, then take it serious, treat it like a real business, put some time and energy into figuring out how you're going to get there, and not just take a job here and a job there and figure it's all going to work out. Entrepreneurship takes some luck for sure, but mostly it takes hard work and persistence and planning and effort. And eventually you get there. There's no real overnight successes with this stuff. It just seems like it. But every overnight success you hear about, then you find out later they put 10 years of work and effort into it and went years with getting hardly paid anything and all that kind of stuff. So if that's your plan, is to make your side hustle into a real business, then take the extra time and effort to treat it like a real business, and you'll get there a lot faster than if you don't.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Matt, for coming on the show today and giving us your very helpful tips about, businesses and what we can do to prepare and get ready and improve. So I'm gonna share your social media handles. Please tell our listeners how they can get in contact with you if they would like.
Yeah, definitely. They can reach us on our website, which is capforge.com, or through any of the handles on the slide there. And you can send us an email or give us a phone call. We're happy to talk to anybody. The first consultation is always free. If we're not a good fit for you, I'll be the first one to tell you. But if I can help you out, then we're happy to do so. We focus on small business bookkeeping and accounting so that you can focus on the main part of your business and not have to worry about some of these sort of back end projects that you might do, like bookkeeping, that you don't really have time for, but it's got to get done. So reach out to us if we can help you. I'm happy to do so.
Awesome. And if you guys want to get in contact with me, feel free to shoot me an email at contact@mjfinancial.biz. My number is 910-317-0396. You can schedule a consultation with me, you guys, on the website at www.mjfinancial.biz. You can find this episode on Anchor, you guys, and you can also find the playback for this video on the YouTube channel for M&J Financial Management. So thank you once again, Mr. Matt, for being a guest on the show. I highly appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It was a good time. I enjoyed talking with you.
And all right, you guys, we will see you on the next episode of Tips with T.
Thanks.